What it do, astronauts? It's D Money. Get ready to blast off with a new episode of What It Do. Convention season is right around the corner. Now I'm talking SDCC, WonderCon, RuPaul's Drag Con, San Diego Comic Fest, SD Rocket Con. The list goes on and on. The bottom line, get your comic list ready, get your cosplay ready, get your money together. But today, to get us in the mood, I am lucky enough to talk with head of SD Rocket Con, Chase Lirley. I also get to talk with artist Matt Merys. Through WonderCon, I found out about his work and have been following him ever since. Before we get into these interviews, I would just like to say what it do to all of our astronauts now listening on YouTube. If you'd like to listen along on a new platform, go ahead and find the links over at WhatItDoPodcast.com. As I said earlier, I got the chance to talk with the head of SD Rocket Con. It's a newer show that's here locally in San Diego. What it do, Chase? How are you?
Very good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you. Thank you so much for joining me. I know we're getting so close to SD Rocket Con coming out.
Oh, yeah.
You being one of the main organizers, I know you're pretty busy right now, so thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited for the show.
I have to know, what threw you into pop culture?
So right now I'm only 20 years old, and ever since I can remember, I've basically been around comic books and toys and all that stuff. It's mainly because of my dad. He had 2 comic book stores back in the 90s. When he was having kids, he sold the stores and just kind of put it to the side. And now we actually have our own store, and that's kind of where I've been thrown into it. We went to a comic show one time, and we're like, why aren't we doing this? And now RocketCon's been born.
This is your second year, correct?
Oh, yes.
What have you learned from your process since beginning this whole thing?
You know, I really thought it was going to be super easy the first time. I was like, oh, no problem. Just a couple calls, couple emails. And then it's been like so much more. I'm horrible at organizing, so it's been super stressful on myself because I made it that hard. But I mean, like, it's great, like, as far as meeting the people, going to all the shows, talking to them. I think that makes it a much more fun experience.
So is all the responsibility on your shoulders, or do you have a team helping you?
Mostly me, but I also, like, this year we've added a few other people. Of course, my dad's always there with me because it's kind of him and I doing it. And then now we've added someone else to do our advertising for us as far as social media, and that's been super helpful.
Yeah, definitely. Any way you can distribute the workload is always a plus.
Oh, yeah.
After going your endeavors, what advice do you have for other people trying to do the same?
I would have all the groundwork in place before you start telling people, because you're going to get so many questions you never thought you would have gotten. Getting the answers is sometimes really hard. And it's also incredibly hard to rely on other people as well. You know, like, we're getting close, and I still have a few vendors who haven't given me their applications, things like that. And it gets pretty stressful that way. So I would just be ready for a little whirlwind at the end.
Definitely. That plan B always is a good plan.
Oh, yes. Always.
Where does the name come from, SD Rocket Con?
My dad actually owns a comic book store in San Diego called TC's Rockets. The T stands for my sister Tia, and then C stands for me, Chase. And so that's his store. And when we're looking for a name for the con, we didn't know if we wanted it to be directly related to the store. So we kind of went with San Diego Rocket Con, where if you know about the store, you'll know about the convention. But if you just see the convention by itself, then it's kind of its own entity at the same time.
What separates your show from the other conventions out there?
Our main goal is to kind of revitalize the original San Diego Comic-Con. I can remember going as a kid, and it was mainly, you know, you go there, you buy the comics and toys, and you hang out, you talk to some people, talk to some guests, get some things signed. Always super fun. And it's kind of turned into this, like, super, what's going to be released next? What are the new trailers? Things like that, which I have no problem with. I think it's super awesome. But we kind of want to bring back the original, you know, I'm looking for the first appearance of Star-Lord or something like that. You know, like, you go to the convention searching for those kind of things. And that's kind of convention we want to bring back, where it's mainly all about buying and selling and trading and then meeting some new people at the same time.
Bring it back to its roots.
That's our super goal.
So who do you hope will come to SD Rocket Con, and what do you hope they'll walk away with?
We always hope for families, you know, and I hope that they walk away with an extremely fun weekend. I mean, that's always a smile on their face, honestly, is all I would hope for. I want to create a family-friendly show that someone can bring their children to, have a great time, have some laughs, and leave saying, wow, that was a lot of fun.
And then without giving too much away, what can we expect from this year's event?
There's a lot more than last year. I don't know if you went last year, but we only had one room. This year, we're going to have 3 different rooms, and honestly, in my opinion, it's going to be doubled in size. We have over 90 booths, things like that I think will pack a big punch.
So with it expanding this year, do you think this is something you're going to continue doing? And where do you see SD Rocket Con going in the future?
I see we already have worked on year 3 at the already, which is pretty sweet. We've lined up a few guests that we're going to hope to get for that year 3. And then we're going to stay at the same venue most likely. And then year 4, that's when we're looking for somewhere else and getting much bigger at that point.
Great. And then where can everybody find their tickets and also your social media?
You can find us at SD RocketCon. Basically, you'll find us on Twitter, Instagram at SD RocketCon. And then when you go sdrocketcon.com, you can just click on tickets and it'll take you right there. I hope to see you there.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Thank you again, Chase, and be sure to go online and get your tickets today. It's because of events and conventions like SD RocketCon, people are able to gather together and really celebrate their fandoms. There are also a whole bunch of artists that people can connect to, and one of those people is Matt Merys. I had the chance to talk with him a while ago, and I am so excited to finally be sharing our conversation. What it do, Matt? How's it going?
I'm great. It's an honor to be talking with you.
Oh, well, thank you. I am excited that you're here. I've been appreciating your work for quite a while now. I think it's been like, 2 WonderCons now?
I think that's when I started listening to the podcast. So.
Oh, yeah. I've been lurking for quite a while, so it's good to finally have you on. Now, I have to know, when did this all start? When did you decide drawing? Were you self-taught? Have you always been doodling? What's the deal?
Pretty much, yeah. My whole life that I can remember. When I was 5, I designed a Power Ranger villain, and I was like, well, this is it. I'm going to draw superheroes for the rest of my life.
Well, there you go. If you're going to start with anything, it may as well be the Power Rangers, because they are legit.
Right.
A lot of your work seems to be based around comics and superheroes, so I take it you've always been a fan?
Yeah, pretty much Power Rangers all goes back to that.
Is there anywhere else that you like to pull your references from?
I look a lot at movies and television, but especially movies, and not just the standard superhero fare. It's tough to say just because everything is useful in drawing. I also do a lot of life drawing, working with models and working from photographs.
So when you're sitting there drawing all these movie characters and everything, you're sitting there watching the films, getting your marathon on?
I would like to, but they don't always have them on Netflix. So what are you going to do?
I've looked through your Instagram and much of your artwork you put on there. It seems that you stay in black and white. So why the preference?
It's just how I learned to draw. I've always loved pen and ink, and that's where I still lean most heavily. I am learning a little bit of digital coloring. There's some on there. I've done some stickers and things. But it's really hard. So I tend to mostly favor what I know.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I love the contrast, and you do such different work, and it's all uniform, but when you look at it individually, you can tell what each character is and what you were going for in that piece.
Yeah, it's something I really strive for. When I look at a lot of artists that I really admire, especially from the 60s and 70s era, there's such a diversity of work in their whole bodies of work that it's kind of amazing to really think that the same person that drew the early issues of Fantastic Four drew the New Gods, drew the Eternals. It's all so different, but you can all tell it's Jack Kirby. That's one of my major influences, and those are the people that I really look to.
So did you grow up a lot on the older comics then, not so much of the comics of the 90s?
I did, but I am a 90s kid. I love Jim Lee. I even kind of have a soft spot for Rob Liefeld, as much as I hate to admit it. I also can't draw feet.
Oh, you can't draw feet?
Yeah.
So what has been one of your most favorite projects that you've worked on so far?
My most recent project that I worked on, I had an absolute blast doing. It was it's called Alternate Universe, and it's a parody of fan fiction starring not Harry Potter and not Draco Malfoy falling in love. I did it with the writer Ashley Roubaix, who's an amazing writer, and it's a short story, and it was just a blast to work on.
Is the material a lot different than what you're used to with that project?
I gotta say it was, because I've done slice of life stuff, and I've done superhero stuff, but getting to play with magic, and then each page is a different genre, because they're hopping through different fan fictions. It was just really fun to get to play in something that was funny, because so much superhero stuff is so self-serious. This was just a good time. Yeah,
it sounds like you definitely got to push yourself creatively as opposed to a
Yes.
skyline.
Right, you can only draw so many buildings. In this, I got to draw wand battles, I got to draw coffee shops. It was some of everything.
Definitely, it sounds like it. Now, going through your Instagram again, like I told you, I've just been lurking on you. You seem to be a fan of music. Does listening to music help your creative process?
Yes, hugely. Especially, I think that comic books really let you break down like beats and rhythms the way that music does, and I think having something play in the background really changes the way that you're drawing something.
Now, only does because it changes your mood, or because the way you're actually moving your arm?
A little bit of both. Even just the way you think of like structuring something. I look at stuff from like, oh, I'm listening to Coldplay to like when I'm listening to the Vandals. It has a very different tone to it, and like how fast and how many panels per page and things can really change.
Now, do you have any advice for people looking to showcase their work?
You just got to get out there. That's the toughest part. For a long time, I didn't put my stuff out there really, and sat back wondering like, why is no one seeing this? And then you eventually just have to push yourself, especially for artists. I think it could be really tough to put yourself out publicly, because a lot of times the things you're working on, even if it's silly superheroes, is kind of personal to you. But you just gotta just get out there. Some people will be mean, most people will be amazing, and you'll learn something every time that you put your best foot forward and put your work out there.
Yeah, definitely. Do you mind if I ask how you overcame putting yourself out there?
A lot of good friends. I have a really amazing wife also who pushes me all the time and is like, no, you should put that up. It's tough, but you just got to do it. And you just got to remember, like, these are little pieces of you, and you get to share these little pieces of yourself with the world. And that's kind of amazing.
It sounds like you need a good support system just in general. I feel that with any type of creative talent, it's just good to surround yourself with supportive people that are going to encourage you and lift you up. So it's definitely a good aspect.
Oh, for sure. You got to have a good support group.
Where can everybody find you and your work?
You can find me on just about everything. Twitter, Tumblr, and Instagram is I Draw Paintings. I also have a page that's Matt Merys on Facebook. You can go like it. You can also find me coming up soon on my new podcast with a number of my friends and my wife called Good Morning, My Dudes, where we'll be talking about art and comics and everything else.
Cool, that sounds exciting. I will definitely be tuning in.
Great.
So thank you so much for talking with me. I really appreciate it, and I cannot wait to see what you put out next.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This is awesome.
Well, I am glad you had a good time, and that is it for today's show. Thanks, guys, for joining me. And if you'd like to find out more about us, you can head on over to WhatItDoPodcast.com to find past episodes, our social media, and a whole bunch more. What It Do, done it again.